The trickle down at your club, Massialas, where you guys have a huge group of dedicated fencers. Outside the names we mentioned, you also have David Willett, who's also on the traveling squad.
Always the bridesmaid.
Yeah, and along with that, the Bravo brothers, right. Nabuo and Kenji. The list goes on as you work your way down the junior cadet and even further. Mm-hmm. How is it that you're able to not just achieve success at each level of competition, but also consistently build fencers and improve those who are already good?
Well, there's two things. Number one, when I started this program, my goal was to have champions all the way through. I didn't sort of start fencing like that was what I was doing. I was actually in my previous work in advertising. When I decided to, I really thought it out. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And then I really planned it out. And I said, okay, I need to have this period. I need to have, from this point, what's the end line, this point, Olympic champions, and how do we work our way all the way back down to here. The second thing is, as we do this is going to be like a sort of ongoing kind of high level sort of situation. You have to be able to keep the chain going. Because anytime you have a break in a chain, you lose. So all of a sudden, then one group is no longer associated with the rest of the group. And I think that's the one thing that we've been able to maintain is this chain. And the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So we have a continuum all the way through. So you can take everyone from our top Y10 fencers all the way to the Y12, all the way to our Olympic fencers. They all have a link. In other words, this guy will fence with this guy will fence with this guy will fence with this guy, so this guy, all the way to the top. So there's a continuum, and they feel like that's part of what their, I'm not sure, obligation, their expectation to themselves.
The standard.
The standard of excellence, what do you want to call it. And we're very fortunate to be able to be in a position right now to we've sort of gotten the full cycle. It's taken me a bunch of years to kind of have it, and now we have that sort of full cycle of people. So as they come in all the way through, because first we started when Garrick was the one, we had all young ones behind, but he was like the only one up here, and the other ones there. And so then now we've been able to fill in, and so now the key is to keep that going, so we have a continuum. And that's part of my goal that we have, and all the coaches and everything else that we work in a group. That's part of our team effort.
Coach, that continuum is certainly the ideal, which I would have to believe every coach pushes for. But you achieve it in practice. How?
Well, I mean, it does take dedication. I mean, one thing is that we have about 100 members of our club, so it's not a big club. I mean, we have a nice facility, good thing. We have 16 electric strips, all that kind of stuff. But we have about 80 fencers here at Nationals, okay? So that tells you the level of intensity of what we do. And the other thing is, people talk about, it's like, of the 100 members of our club, there are probably like 5 or 7 that are over 18. So it's our thing is like from 7 to about 18, okay? And if you look at who are the ones that are over 18, Garrick, James, Alexander, David. So you're talking about the national
Bravo
team
brothers,
Bravo.
yeah.
I mean, so it's a very small, no, the older brother, little Bravo is 14.
All right, yeah, he's young.
He's 14. So my point of the matter is that we have this young, and that's sort of like, I understand, because that's where we're at. We need to be able to focus with that sort of young development thing. So I understand that, and so therefore I commit to making sure that all these things step along the way. And I think one big part of it is the fact that we have, our coaching staff is a cohesive group of coaches. We are all working together with a common goal. We don't have sort of like individual things. We work more of like a coaching by committee in certain situations. And so you kind of work with your coach, but there's a couple coaches. Rarely do you only work with one coach. And so it's more about my system and my methodology that's taught across the board. And we also have a consistency of coaches. Most of my coaches are American coaches or American studied coaches. We only have one other coach, which is actually a former Soviet, and he's been with me for a long time. And even that took a long time to introduce our system and working everything else. So it's a unified pedagogy. It's a unified kind of harmonious coaching group. And then the same thing goes over to the athletes. So that the athletes, the families, I think one thing that people say about our group is that we're a very cohesive and very harmonious group of people. And I think these are the things that allows you to have that stability. So when you see fencers in our group, some fencers may stop fencing, but you don't see many fencers leaving. You see, the reason is because we have a good environment that they're able to prosper, and everybody's given an equal share. There's no like special treatment, whatever happened to be, all the way from my own kids, whatever it is. No special treatment, and that's the mistake a lot of people do, a lot of coaches, special treatment to their kids, and what happens, they feel entitled, and they're never successful because of it. As opposed to mine, no, just like anybody else, you have to work just like everybody else, you have to do the same thing. No, that's the way it goes, and the consequence, I think, that everyone feels like they have an opportunity to succeed, and then the cream will rise to the top.
Well, it certainly has done that with M-Team fencing and everything else that you've touched, Coach Massialas. So thank you, and best wishes going forward.
Go for real and gold.